Hi, this is Lada from Astrolada.com with your May 2017 horoscopes, and those horoscopes will be very special because they will cover not only May but the next year and a half. So you're getting a deep insight into the next year and a half, because I'm going to focus in the May videos on the change of signs of the North Node and South Node, or also I like to call them Rahu and Ketu. It's easier. They're changing signs from Leo into Aquarius from May 2017 till November 2018, which means our karma is changing, guys. The big lessons, Rahu and Ketu are the reasons we incarnate in this life. To learn lessons and to let go of things. To learn new things and to let go of old things. Ketu is letting go, Rahu is learning new things. So this is the North and South Node. And I'm going to teach you where you can progress throughout the next year and a half. Starting from May, because Rahu is where we can progress and get material results and use our willpower, and where you can get liberated and release old things. And if you follow this pattern, this is your recipe for success. So guys, I'm giving you a recipe for success for the next year and a half. And you can even go back to my October 2015 videos when I was talking about the previous change when Rahu and Ketu for the past year and a half, they've been in the two signs, Virgo and Pisces, and you can check them out for your sign and see how correct this was. And then you can listen to the May ones that will cover up to November 2018. Such an important big deal, honestly. The consciousness shifts, the karma, the lesson shifts in a big way. And we're going to see how this impacts each sign. And don't forget, May is also another good month because Mercury is turning direct. Planets, Venus is already direct, so the complicated tissues and intensity of April is starting to fade away. We'll pay attention to that as well. But just to remind you guys, May, from the middle of May, from the 14th, I'm starting a 6 months foundational astrology course, which is just $200. It's going to be 12 weeks. We're going to do that twice every month, basically. And it's going to be all about the 12 signs, all about areas we're starting. You can either get the full course for 50% discount, $200, so you can get a few, videos, maybe a few courses, all about Aries, all about Taurus, whichever sign you're interested about, which is just $29. But if you want to learn astrology from scratch, and if you want to know information that is not there, and I promise you again, I bring you for sources, esoteric, deep, ancient, modern. It's going to be my best course, basically. And if you want to really understand astrology in depth and start from the bottom, this is the course for you. So come and join me. While till May, it's still just half price, $200 for the whole course, or $29 for all about Aries. And yeah, thank you so much. Scorpio, May 2017. And guys, you can keep coming back to that video for a year and a half after that, because what I'm about to reveal is not just for May. It's just gonna flow till the end of 2018 only, almost, and that's the strategy for success. Wherever the North Node of the moon moves, this is where we really develop that area of our life for the next year and a half, because we become passionate, we become voracious, we become hungry there. And wherever Ketu goes, we're asked to release, we're asked to declutter, we're asked to spiritualize and refine and remove the dense matter from that area of our life, which means separation, abandonment, letting go of things, letting go of control. So this strategy, if you're trying to go against the strategy of behavior of Rahu and Ketu, things can get complicated, but if you go together with what the planets ask from you, and you feel it, most intuitive people, they naturally just would feel this passion that starts developing in their, wherever Rahu moves for the next year and a half, and they'll become hungry then, voracious to achieve, and they start becoming more apathetic and disinterested to whatever Ketu is in their life for the next year and a half. Or if they're resisting this, the universe pushes them there. So the universe will remove things from your life connected to Ketu. So then it's more painful. Then the lesson of abandonment and loss becomes more painful. But if you have the preparation that you have to let go of where Ketu is, and you have to embrace and actively pursue where Rahu is, then your life will flow so much with success. and whatever you turn to and touch you'll get results much faster. So now let's examine what is the strategy for success for you. Okay, so starting with Ketu in the 4th house. Let's start with the more difficult influence. And actually, ancient cultures prefer Ketu. They gave it much more positive influence because ancient cultures were spiritual. And Ketu taught us the lessons of detachment from material things and a loss of control. And that was what brought us closer to God, because nothing brings us closer to God. And Ketu is connected in ancient astrology to bringing us closer to God, to developing our spirituality. What brings us closer than loss and then letting go and letting God, you know. So 4th house, you'll notice, Scorpios, that is your home and family, parenting in some sorts, is connected to relationships with family member, with property, with land, and emotional attachments of any sorts as well. So you'll be asked, Scorpio, to release certain emotional attachments. And it's not necessarily love relationships or whatever it is, maybe something from the past. On the positive level, Ketu can release us from, because Ketu is like the dragon's tail. Dragon's tail excretes. So it's almost like wherever Ketu is, you can release things. Ketu is a planet of moksha, liberation. So you can feel liberated on certain levels from the 4th house. So certain responsibilities and duties that you've had towards family members or towards parenting or towards, you know, mother or house or property of some sort, landed property. You might be released from those responsibilities. I've seen someone whose mom, they had to take care of their mom for a long time, and Ketu transited their 4th house and the mom passed away. So they were released from that responsibility. It felt liberating for them. I saw someone else who had some lands and they wanted to sell them. Ketu passed there. They were able to liberate them, to release those lands finally, and they felt freer. But other people might lose something to do with property, or might lose something to do. Maybe a family member can depart and go to live somewhere else, or they might, you know, detach more from a family member. It can play out in different ways, you know. We have to check the personal horoscope to see whether it's and how a person reacts to this kind of changes. You know, most spiritual people, they feel liberated whenever Ketu transits. They feel, and Ketu is about giving, doing something for the greater good rather than out of selfish reasons. So if you want things to be going good in regards to your family, in regards to your property, in your personal life, do it selflessly. Don't expect returns back now. Do it like putting it in a well, and you know, it's basically, if you do it from higher altruistic reasons, which is Ketu, the spiritual planet. So give, you know, to your family or whatever. You might have to make sacrifices. Ketu is about sacrifices. Sacrifice in regards to your family, in regards to property, in regards to parenting. And you don't have much control over it, because Ketu, the more you try to control those things, the more out of control they become. So you have to allow things, when it comes to all those things, matters, property, family, to develop on their own, to unfold on their own, rather than try to force your rigid opinions on how things should be okay, how you should parent. This might be a period when the universe wants to awaken you to a sort that you might have certain plans on how parenting should go, or nurturing, or growing things of some sort, or how creating a family, or settling, or property, or anything like that, or how the relationships in the family should be. But every time you try to do something, it's out of your control, or it gets even less likely, even less controllable, you know. So you just end up at the end releasing this need to control and allowing things to flow on their own, and then things really improve in the 4th house. So develop a detached attitude, or an attitude of whatever comes, I will meet it as it goes. Planning things and trying to control them tightly will not exactly work now, so I'm willing to go with the flow when it comes to parenting, property, home, place of living. You'll be surprised, Ketu, if you allow things in God's hands, it can take you to a much better place. It doesn't mean you always have losses if Ketu runs you through your 4th house in regards to property, home, family. No, because it just wants to make you release some old attachments and beliefs, how things should be run, how things should happen in regards to this fourth house. And the best way for this is to focus on something else. And when you focus on something else, allow things to develop on their own, and you respond to them more like, because Ketu is blind, it's a tail, doesn't have a head, so someone has to lead it. So allow a different part of your life, focus there consciously, and things will happen here kind of on their own, and you follow like a blind mind the lead and react and respond to it. And that's going with the flow. This is when a person masters Ketu, miracles start happening in that house. Miracles, like you're trying to hold on to strong control in your home, or to keep some property, or to something in the relationship with parents, or with how you parent, you're trying to, and you're really, Ketu is transiting your fourth house and nothing works out like you want, or it's just, you become more and more pathetic and dissatisfied there. And you just give up and say, whatever, I'm finished, whatever, allow it. And that's surrender. That's what Ketu is. When you surrender, your higher power takes over, God, as we know, the higher self, and it takes you to quiet waters, takes you to the right place, and you realize, wow, it's so much better now. It's like all of a sudden my relationship with my parents improved, or like I was trying to make it work by living with them. Well, it's not this. Ketu might say you have to remove yourself from certain family environment, certain family member has to get removed from your life, a certain place of living has to get removed from your life, or property, and then you can basically you find a much better place. But you have to allow this process of spiritualization and allowing the loss, not perceiving it as a loss, but as making space for God to act instead of you. And then you have to focus on where Rahu is, because where Rahu is, we become more voracious, more hungry, more passionate, more intense. With Ketu, we become more apathetic, because it's like the more we try to do things, or we just lose interest basically in those things, family, the foundation of life. Or the worst case scenario, we can lose physically things from there. But again, it's about allowing this to happen on its own, while having more ability to control or to influence events in the house of where Rahu is, with your desire. They say if you're very passionate and excited about something, you can attract it. And this is what Rahu generates, our desire nature. That's why it's a demon planet in ancient cultures, because they don't like our desire nature to be much ruffled up. They want us to be in a Zen, Om state, those ancient cultures, because they were very spiritual cultures. It was bad to have material possessions and to have a lot of stimulation, because Rahu is stimulation, because it detracted you from the spirituality of oneness with God. But in the Western world nowadays, progressive society, we love Rahu because it brings us material gains. It develops the house it transits through. It develops this hunger in us, basically often people with strong desire natures and voracious, and that become materially very successful in life, and driven to the limelight, and driven to all those Rahu things of recognition of material achievements, and climbing up. They often have powerful Rahu, like Rahu conjunct a angle or sun or moon, or Rahu in the 11th house, which makes one like capitalist, But Rahu in the 10th house going for you over the next year and a half, Scorpio, means that you can develop this hunger in regards to your career. You see, kind of, you allow things to, a little bit out. It doesn't mean it will be crazy chaos here in your family, or nothing will be happening. You just release a little bit control in regards to your personal life, and interest even in regards to your personal life and family and stuff. And you put your passion, it might be just this, a lot more into your career, into your worldly activities, into your worldly achievements. So some people can take on, and Rahu can change things in a big way, can give like a frog jump or leapfrog or whatever it's the word, like a trampoline jump in the area it transits. So it can. I've seen people change their careers when Rahu transits in the 10th house, because their ambitions have grown, because they want something better, something more. I've seen people change, grow bigger businesses then, because Rahu expands and grows, you know, materially. I can give you an example. When Rahu transited and there was an eclipse as well, exactly my 10th house cusp, and that was from the ascendant. This is when I was just working alone in Astrolada, and then I started collaborating with many people. So from one, when Rahu was in my 10th house, we became 15, 20, and now we're a big team of astrologers, international astrologers and psychics. So that's like the business grew a lot. I became ambitious and voracious, and I was like, this is not typical for me. I'm not like this kind of driven, ambitious person, want to expand businesses and structures. And I did it. Rahu was my 10th house. I wouldn't do it now. I don't have the drive, the stimulus. I don't have Rahu in my 10th house by birth, you know. But then the spurt of energy for a year and a half, it happened. So maybe for some of you, can also lead to the same. And Rahu is risk taker. It's willing to take risks. And sometimes those risks can really crash us, but sometimes those risks can, that's exactly what's needed for us to make a breakthrough, this trampoline jump. It paid off well for me. I've seen people with Rahu in the 10th house sometimes take too many crazy risks and ruffle up the boat. And it's good to see your specific horoscope to see if this is going to create problems, if it's making lots of difficult aspects from there, and if you have other difficult aspects, because sometimes taking the risks, especially if you're having a lot of other Saturnian transits or whatever, and you have to keep the status quo, can create disruptions. But usually, generally, your strategy for success is put your energy and efforts and your will, the ambition to drive to succeed in the world, to develop some new businesses or some new direction in your career, for example, some new worldly duties and responsibilities, take on new such ones while releasing some personal responsibilities and things like that. So that's, guys, what I see for you. I think you can keep coming back over and over to this video to check it, because you have a lot of aha moments throughout the next year and a half when you're reading this, and you'll be thinking, okay, I'm not going mad. This is my strategy for success. This is what I have to do. This is what's, you know, best. So develop structures, develop social status is your 10th house. So Rahu can really shoot up your social status or change it. I've seen people get divorced, get married when Rahu transits there. So something changes their social status, but it tends to usually elevate it more. So thank you so much, and I will see you next month.